Hey guys. So I'm doing my first book review and I've decided to do it over this. I'm not going to say it's an absolute banger, but it's pretty good. It's called Dead 11 by Jimmy Giuliano. Now I'm going to have this review in like two different sections, like a spoiler free. You haven't read it and you want to read it, you still can. That'll be the first thing I talk about. And then I'll go into more like here's the problems I had with it. Here's kind of a rundown of what the whole plot was. I'm not going to go like super in depth because I don't want this to be like a crazy long video, but we'll see where it goes. I have some I have some feelings about it. But overall, I liked it. It wasn't the worst book I ever read. So, I'll go ahead and read the back for y'all just to like give just a brief introduction of what it is. So the reason why I picked it up was because of the VHS on the front, and I kind of thought that I was going to be getting into something more like The Ring or just one of those other VHS movies. But it's not like that at all. So if you're judging based off of the cover, don't do that. Okay, here's the back. It says, on a creepy island where everyone has a strange obsession with the year 1994. And first of all, obsession, that is taking it lightly. This is not an obsession, and I'll get into it. When Willowstone discovers the words Clifford Island written on the floor of her deceased son's bedroom, she's perplexed. She's never heard of it before, but soon learns it's a tiny island off Wisconsin's Door County Peninsula. 200 miles away. Why would her son write this? Determined to find answers, Willow sets out for the island. After a few days on Clifford, Willow realizes this place is not normal. Everyone seems to be stuck in 1994, specifically a certain day in 1994. That's me adding in stuff. It's a certain day, a specific day. They wear outdated clothing, avoid modern technology, and perhaps most mystifyingly, watch the O.J. Simpson car chase every evening. When she asks questions, people are evasive, but she learns one thing. Close your curtains at night. High schooler Lily Becker has lived on Clifford her entire life, and she is sick of adhering to the island's rules. She has been to the mainland, and it's normal there, so why is Clifford so weird? Lily sets out to prove that the islanders' beliefs are a sham. But are they? 5 weeks later, Willow disappears. Her brother, Harper, comes to Clifford to search for her, and then he learns the truth that this island is far more sinister than anyone could have imagined. He is determined to blow the whole thing wide open, if he can get out alive. So I read the back when I picked it up from Barnes and Noble, and I thought it was really interesting. It sounds really cool. I haven't heard a concept like it before, so I was intrigued. Um, and I also saw that, like in his little biography, that Jimmy Giuliano has written stuff for No Sleep Forum, which I love No Sleep Forum. Who doesn't? Well, okay, it's hit and miss, but for the most part, some good stuff comes out of it. So I was really intrigued. Now, I'll go ahead and say I really enjoyed it. And I think if you're a fan of like Eldritch horror, like Lovecraftian horror, then this will be something that's good for you. It's it is like a supernatural monster kind of book, and so it does have like an actual like creature in it, and it's very Lovecraftian. Like you don't know where it comes from. There's not really anything about it or like any lore about it, just that it just kind of showed up. Very Lovecraftian. However, my only gripe with it, okay, I guess I have two gripes. So the book is written in multiple perspectives, and while I think it works for the most part, there are some instances where it gets a little bit confusing at times and a little bit annoying to keep track of like what time period you're reading about, like who you're reading about, like whose thoughts are you reading. And so I don't really think that works for it as much. But my biggest gripe has to do with the ending of the book. Now, I guess this is going to be the part where I get into spoiler territories. So if you don't want spoilers, just go ahead and stop reading or reading, watching this video. As a summary, it's a good book. Good Eldritch or good if you like a ton of people disappearing from a town and not knowing why. I love that. If you like that, you'll probably like this because it happens. Okay, now getting into spoiler territory. Nothing happens. It's like you get to the end of the book and you're wanting something to be figured out, like some sort of conclusion to be reached, and it's like, and no conclusion is reached. So the whole thing is that there's this town and it's on an island, it's secluded from everything else, and what it turns out being is that the island has to relive the same day in history over and over again so that it prevents this monster from being unleashed into the real world. Not the real world, the rest of the world, not the island. And it just like the monster will feed on grief and it just makes people disappear, feeds off the grief, makes more people disappear. So they figured out that if they can just pretend to be grieving the day that a bunch of people disappeared. So a bunch of people disappeared in 1994. And they're like, so if we keep reliving this day in 1994, then we'll always be grieving and the monster will never leave our island and will protect the rest of the world. Like, I see how it works. Like, it makes sense in theory. It's kind of crazy, but it makes sense. But then you have these characters come in who are trying to, like, figure out stuff the about the town, and then they're like, I'm gonna blow this case wide open, like I'm gonna figure out and I'm gonna tell everybody else what's going on. And it's like, why would you do that? Like, at the end of the book, the main characters figure out that, everything's real. There is actually a monster, coming to kill everybody, and that the town's protecting everyone. So, like, why would you want to tell everybody if it risks letting this monster loose onto the entire world? And it's like, yeah, I get that your sister died and like that sucks. I'm sorry, but is it worth like the whole world just ending for it? So, it follows these it follows a lot of characters, which, like I said, is confusing. However, the main characters are Willow, who is the lady. Okay, so her son died, and she thinks that her son was trying to tell her to go and visit this town. And it turns out he wasn't, but it's a whole thing. Anyway, she goes and she figures out all the secrets, and she ends up being, killed by the demon or whatever it is. Um, and then her brother goes to look for her, and these are like grown adults. So you would think that they would have some like sense, like common sense, but they don't really. So the brother's name is Harper. Harper goes and he's trying to find Willow, and he ends up discovering all this stuff. And I kind of expected it to end with like, oh, not like a happy ending. I expected it to be either they figure out how to deal with the monster or the monster gets loose and stuff like that. Nothing happens. Like, they go through the whole story and it's exactly the same as where it started and where it ended. Willow died, Harper left the island, said he would never say anything about it, writes a book anyways, but then is like, I'm not going to tell anybody. So, like, what was the point of the whole story? Just to, like, fill us in on what happened? That doesn't make any sense. Like, why write it if nothing's going to have come from it? It doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. And then you have these dumb kids who are dumb in different ways. Like, there's Lily, who really wants to expose everything that's going on this island. And then, but because she's not a believer, she doesn't believe that anything is happening. She's never seen anything. Oh, and one of the things that the demon will do is it will send dead people after you that look like someone you've lost. And she's never seen any of these dead people. And so she doesn't believe anything. But her friend, Kayla, has. And so Kayla just totally snitches on everything that Lily and Willow and Harper, well, not Harper, mainly just Lily and Willow are doing, and basically ends up getting Willow killed, which is annoying. They lock her inside of the lair that the demon's in, and now she has to be sacrificed because she knows too much. But they let Harper go. Harper knows too much, but it's fine if he leaves, but it's not okay if Willow leaves. It doesn't make any sense at all. So I don't know. And then Kayla is just, she's like, I finally understand why I've been told all of this my entire life. It makes so much more sense now. And I'm gonna do my best to protect the island. And it's like, girl, should have done that a long time ago. Should have figured that out a long time ago, but whatever. Anyways, it's a good book. I like it. Um, but it's not the best thing that I've ever read. I do recommend it though. I would recommend it. If you think you would be interested in more reviews, kind of similar to this one, obviously, different, not genres, but maybe a movie, maybe a game, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I will catch y'all in the next video. Bye.